welcome into the Common Dad podcast. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, I am joined by Ryan, Andrew, and we have a very, very, very special guest today, Mr. Brad Johnson, Super Bowl champion of Super Bowl 20. I'm not good with
37.
37. That's the one. Awesome. Well, Brad, thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. You've got some experience being a football player and even more experience being a dad. So that's why we wanted to bring you on and just kind of talk to you about all that fun stuff that you've done over your career. Playing football.
Awesome.
More importantly, being a father. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here?
So I have a question. I've got a couple of questions that have been eating at me since I found out that you were going to be on with us. But I did a little bit of research. I went onto your Instagram page, and I see that your father Rick is on there a couple of times, and we're fortunate enough, Drew and I, to still live close with our father. I'm sure between Washington and Minnesota, and you've been all over, but to still be close with your dad, I think is a really awesome thing. So I'm just curious off the bat, what advice has he given you as far as being a father? Any tips, any tricks, any golden nuggets that he's given you?
Yeah, my dad, he still beats me in golf. So he plays from the green tees, and I play from the silvers. And somehow in the point system, I get nervous, and he beats me on hole 18 every time still. So he's 80 years old now, so it's pretty fun to watch. But no, I think my dad, growing up, he was always both my parents, but my dad was always with me. He coached all my teams: baseball, basketball, football. He was always take me to school, pick me up from school, or always provided whatever we needed. Everything was all. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, but it was always provided. And but I think he was just always there for me, and whether it was sports or not. And I think some advice he kind of gave me was always, he said, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So you never know when your time's coming. You never know when your time's coming, and just be ready for those moments. And he kind of gave the coach speak too, but the only thing you can ever control in life is your attitude and effort, and then make those around you get the greatness out of others.
That's good. So, did he coach you too?
He coached me in all my youth leagues and stuff, and so he was always there, and we always play 1-on-1 or a horse in the backyard, or we play little football games. We'd play. We lived on a dirt road, actually up on a mountain, but when we'd play football, we'd play the quarterback. It was really 1-on-1, but you'd have to throw completions. You'd have to hit the tree or a branch. You get a first down, and you move the ball down the road. So he was always making up games in the house or on the dirt road, whatever we did. It was always competitive. He never let me win, and then eventually
that's important.
I could beat him in those sports, but I could still have a hard time beating him in golf.
There's that edge dads have just on something they just can't. Can't quite.
No doubt.
Can't quite get over it.
That's experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's that experience. But now, obviously, you have two boys. They're both in college now, and I mean, I've only got three, and they're just thinking. He just brought the football flyer home today from kindergarten. Dad, here we go. So I'm like, all right, here comes our journey. We'll see what he's got. But I've always wondered, kind of once you've realized, like, all right, we might have something here, like they might have a real opportunity. How do you kind of coach them as far as like making sure it's still fun, but still kind of like, all right, but there's a real opportunity here. Let's make sure, we take it serious also. Like, how do you kind of keep that balance with them?
Yeah, I'm thankful for my wife too. My wife, Nikki, she played volleyball in college.
Oh.
Obviously, I had my career, and so, I have to give her a lot of credit too. Now, she played with them in the backyard as much as anybody. And every time we do something in the house, it's Connect Four, checkers. It's always cards. It's always competitive. But, with them, we always want to provide. So whatever you start, finish. If you want to be in the band, be in the band. You want to play baseball. Whatever you do, be 100% active in that. And if you decide later on you don't play after the season's over, that's not your sport, then you can stop after the season. Never quit during the middle of the season, those kind of things. So, but we always provided them a chance to do whatever they wanted to do. We always told them to blaze their own path. And, at an early age, obviously both of them were athletic, and you can kind of tell those things real quick.
Yeah.
And but they never really got to see me play, except just hear me talk about my glory
Yeah.
days and those kind of things. But as parents, as much as we talk about sports, like we were just as excited to have the birthday parties and the house parties and the kids over after games or the weekends and spend the night parties and all those kind of things. Just not just besides sports, we try to make them as well rounded as possible and those kind of things. But then when it came to sports, said, listen, if you want to be good at it, then you gotta be great at your craft. You got to learn. You got to work. You got to deal with adversity and all those kind of things. And they're doing the best they can with all that still. And it's always a work in progress. But we really want them to just live out their dreams, make their own journey, make it their own.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Competitive checkers. I can appreciate that.
Always.
Don't let them win in anything.
Did you coach them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you coach
Yeah,
them the way?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to coach them. I was kind of reliving my dad's life, honestly. Like I got to. My dad ran summer camps up in North Carolina, and then later in Georgia, he ran it for Camp Ridgecrest and Camp Crestridge, and later for a camp called Camp Windshape. And it's actually a Christian camps, spend the night camps, horseback, soccer, archery, basketball. You name the sport, was doing those kind of things. But then in sports, he coached me in all my teams, and actually I got to coach all my kids in baseball, basketball, and football. And then I was lucky that kind of got to go on and be the head coach like in middle school, and then one of the assistants in high school.
Nice. Now, a quick question, because quick side story that I vividly remember about. I want to say it was your youngest boy. When we were playing basketball, he walked in, Brad. I don't know if you remember this, and I went, "Oh, where's he going to college?" And you said he's going to 8th grade. And I went,
Yeah.
And then the game proceeded to go on, and you picked him to let me, guard him. And I think he dunked on me 2 or 3 times. I'll never forget that. And I walked out of the gym, feeling a little shorter that day. I was like, well, all right. I'll just tell myself he's in college. I remember that. That was a rough morning for me there. Go ahead, Andrew. I know you got one. No. Now, with the coaching, Brad, you at such a high level, was it tough to not hold them to a certain standard when it came to that, or did they ever feel any pressure like that? And if they did, how did you kind of navigate that?
I don't think they ever felt pressure like they got to be like as good as their dad. I think they just want to beat their dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as far as just in the backyard, those kind of things. But on the field, it was always about them. It was never about me. It was always, if I'm coaching them like every other kid as far as the actual practice went. But they held themselves to a high standard as far as, how can I get better at it and working on their own. And then I would work with them on the side also. So I never really played daddy ball. I mean, if we're playing, I was trying to coach every kid as well as we could and try to win every game. And then hopefully every kid could come back and play, have a great experience, and then come back the next year. That's the way I was as a coach, and try to make it a great experience. But for my kids, just provide that opportunity. But they, now they can, they worked at it, they love it, and it's their path, not really so much mine.
That's good. And it sounds like you set that foundation. So when they got to that high school level, they was just kind of ingrained in them. That's
and they got to earn their time too. They got to earn their position, and earn their keep at whatever level, middle school, high school, now college. And it's, you're kind of on your own. It's like a boxer, when the trainer can be over there and he can give you the water and tell you you're doing good and keep your hands up and jab them a little bit. But then he takes the chair back and you're out there fighting on your own. And that's the way it is, as a dad. You really got it. When they're competing or those kind of things, they're on their own. When they're in school, they gotta earn the A. They gotta earn the B. You earn what you get, and that's kind of the way it was.
Man, that's good stuff. I love that mentality right there, because that keeps, that's a good building block. You know what I mean? I think that's really good stuff right there. Now, kind of moving into the college side of it, I want to know, because I was never recruited. At least at a high level. I want to know what you think of the difference between your recruiting, how that was for you versus what it is today. Because I guess I'm assuming you get to see a little bit of it with your boys, but like it's got to be night and day, right?
Yeah, two different extremes.
Yeah.
When I was being recruited like in the '80s up in Black Mountain, North Carolina, there wasn't internet, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't
Yeah.
scouting services, there wasn't any of that. There wasn't all these 5-star camps and those kind of things. When you went to a camp, you were just going to a college and just going there for 5 days and you compete all day long and then order pizza at night, those kind of things, And so now it's more of a showcase when you go around to these certain camps or college camps. Now it's a 2-hour session and they either like you and they offer you or they don't. You're moving on to the next one, And it starts at an early age now. And you're making highlight films in 8th grade and 9th grade, and and I'm putting them out there. Like, when do we ever talk about ourselves? Like,
Yeah.
now it's out there. You put music to it, and you're like a superstar with all the highlight films. But that's part of the game. But
Yeah.
that the game's a humbling game. And
Absolutely.
that and you're competing against all these other players. And now, like when I went to college, I didn't know who all the players were on the team, not alone the quarterbacks. Like, now everybody almost all over the country. If you're in that world, you know who you're competing against. You know who that college is recruiting. And as far as recruits, back in the day, they would write you a handwritten letter. Now they call the coach and they make a connection and those kind of things. It's just a totally different world as far as recruiting, and you just have to go with the times. But I remember like making a VHS tape of like my films and send it. I made one great VHS tape, send it off to this school, and then you hope they would send it back to you so you could send it to another school. Now you're making
great.
highlight films and it goes everywhere. It's kind of crazy.
So what you see in movies where the coach comes and sits on the couch and tells your mom that he's going to take care of you, that might be a little bit for movie sake.
No, actually during the home visit, you go through all of that.
Okay.
So that actually, those conversations real. But as far as just the internet and as far as that recruiting, but then they're calling, you're on the phone, you make relationships with these coaches over time, those kind of things. But it starts at an earlier age now, 9th grade for some, and 10th grade, and then obviously you can't sign until you're a senior. But it probably starts a little bit too early, but it's just the way it's going.
Man. Now
it's crazy for me because I've got a 7-year-old and I've been coaching him in baseball. I played high school ball all the way up to college, and certainly not at the high level that you did. But I've been struggling with a lot of actually what the last question was that you addressed with. I'm coaching a whole team in a rec league at T-ball, but you see some parents that are out there and they're hitting 100 grounders before a game, and they're staying after game and hitting 100 more grounders. And it's so intense, but I'm packing up equipment and I've got to coach to my son, and I got to it feels like I've been coaching him for 5 seasons now at T-ball, and I get very little one-on-one time because I'm coaching the whole team. So that balance is really a struggle. And then worrying about, where he goes in the future with, I'm certainly not worried about recruiting or anything yet, but I think, some of the information that you're given on how to balance being competitive with looking out for them is very important.
It is, and let me tell you what's real. Baseball, you're going to strike out.
Yeah.
You're gonna drop a fly ball. You know what I mean? You're gonna make a dumb error on running the bases. Like, and what I tell you, when it happens, like, embrace adversity. Like, ask for adversity early in the kids' lives. Ask for it, because it's only going to get harder as this thing goes on later. And, I'm not into participation trophies for everyone, but like, it's real. You're competing. It's real. But as a parent, be there for the kid during the tough times. Learn to deal with these conversations early, and let the kid kind of grow up. You don't always make the kid sandwich when he goes to lunch, when he goes to school. Let him make his own when at a certain age. You know what I mean? If he forgets to take his baseball bat to practice, let him forget it. Let him sit out of practice. Let him learn early, because it'll pay dividends in the end.
I like that. That's good. I remember I remember I left my football helmet one practice, and that was the last time I did that. That was, I remember that. And Dad pulled up, and truck's there, and he goes, "Did you forget something?" Yeah. Did you run all
That's
practice? Right. Yeah, sure did. Won't do that again. That is good. Now, question on this. We kind of touched on recruiting a little bit there with the last. Well, gosh, I think it just started this year with the name, image, and likeness stuff. Just kind of touching again on the different recruiting. What are just your general thoughts on that? I mean, it's kind of the wild, wild west right now. Like, and I don't even think we've had it I think we've just had it over one full calendar year. And, I've followed college football my whole life, and I don't even know how to wrap my head. It's crazy. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. I remember watching the Olympics, and growing up as a kid, and it was not the professional athlete,
Yeah.
And then when the 1980 Miracle on Ice, they win and all that kind of stuff, you're going crazy in the 84 Olympics and basketball. And then eventually, we're not winning. So then we have to go get the pros, okay? And then it's Olympics have become commercialized, okay? So the NIL deal, it's real. It's been there about, I guess, last year, and then obviously this year. Everyone's trying to wrap their hands around it. They can't figure it out, and each school's trying to figure it out. And even though they say they have, right now they haven't.
Right.
And so it's an interesting play for kids. A year ago, my oldest son, Max, I did not let him do anything. I said, let's just play it out, figure it out. And, trying to go do a $100 gift card at Dairy Queen. I mean, even though I love Blizzards, you know what I mean? But it's just being in for the long game. And I tell people, be great at your craft first. Mm-hmm. Your craft is what matters first. Right. And then unfortunately what happens is you get into how many followers I have on Instagram and Twitter. And that's a play too now. That, the more stuff you have like that, then you're going to get recognized more. But if kids can make money doing that way, and that's the way the game is gone, then let them make money. But be great at your craft first. And then learn how to pay taxes and all the rest of it that comes with it. So it's something we're all working through, and great for everyone making money if they can do it, But learn how to deal with it too.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say everything in moderation? It's not unlike I had to work my way through college. I didn't get the scholarship, and so you have to learn how to balance. And school comes first, but you have to learn how to balance having an income too. And I think it provides great skills as long as they're not having the things like taxes being taken care of for them. If they can have a hand in that and use it as a learning experience, I think from that perspective, it can be used as a very educational tool.
No doubt about it. I think just in life right now, we're getting sped up. Okay, getting sped up, but it's what's happened. So you better educate yourself now as a kid. Educate yourself as a parent. How are we going to deal with it? How are we going to navigate it? But you still have all those responsibilities that you're talking about, whether it's school, playing. Don't let those interfere with being ready for game ready kind of stuff. And I'm sure over time we're going to see some issues that come up with kids, whether it's being distracted by their phone, by Instagrams, by trying to build a brand. It works out for some. There's different levels of how guys can, of all of it. Not everyone's going to get NIL deals, but it's the kind of the way it goes too.
Yeah, it's just such a crazy twist. Hopefully everything kind of calms down and kids start to understand kind of what you said is just focus on being a good football player, and then everything else should take care of itself as long as like you said you just kind of stay prepared for it. All right, so your kids are starting college. So when was your first one born? Where were you at in the league year-wise?
I was probably year 10 in the league, somewhere around there. So year 8, year 9 or 10. We were down in Tampa.
Okay.
So Max was born in 2001 at that time.
Gotcha.
And then other son's 2 years behind, so he's born 2003.
Gotcha. Now, Ryan had an interesting question on this one, which I loved, and I didn't even think about it. Go ahead on this one, Ryan.
Well, I like doing a little bit of research and kind of looking into things, and I've always liked how Tony Dungy kind of came across as the more quiet but still firm type of coach. At least that's my perception of him. And I know he does a lot as far as he wrote a book and encouraging, and that he was the head coach at Tampa when you first went down there,
Right.
when you became a
Right.
father, right? So I'm just wondering, obviously Tony Dungy now is into a lot of that stuff, and he's kind of a big name. But did he give you any advice in navigating that change of you'd been in the NFL for a few years, and now you're having to kind of juggle a couple of different things? And any tips on how to change diapers?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think more things are caught than taught. And I think with Tony, he was always, handle your business, and be able to prioritize your time. When you're here at football, it's football.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go home, be a husband, be a father, take care of your kids, take care of your priorities. But you have to set those apart. You really do. And fortunately for my wife, she's a big part of this thing with our family too, especially with our kids being young. Like, I couldn't handle it just doing football. We actually had to have her mom come live with us our first 2 or 3 years in the league in Minnesota and Tampa, just because it gave my wife time during the day. When I'm at football from 6:30 in the morning till 6 at night, when I come home, I'm daddy. I only get them for an hour when they're really young. You know what I mean? So, but I think just prioritizing your time and be a great dad, be the dad that you want to be. And for me, I had great role models of my parents, and I was able to pass that on.
That's good. Tony Dungy always came across as like the NFL dad. Whenever I see him on TV, that's just how he feels like he's a father to anybody he comes across.
And it's pretty cool with Tony too. Like a lot of the coaches now, listen, he won a Super Bowl as a player with Pittsburgh. He coached a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember like some coaches there in the office at 5 a.m. But with him, when he was a head coach, he actually would take his kids to school.
That's great.
But he had all the other assistants. They were in there at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But he was there. He'd come in, he'd drop his kids off, and he had that luxury of doing that as a head coach. But he always told the coaches too, like, listen, if you got something come up, then take care of your family first. And football is always going to be here, but family comes first as far as anything that comes up like that.
Awesome. I did want to kind of jump in here if I can. I was kind of curious, what changed in your career once you had when you went from pre-kids to post-kids? Did you see any changes in what your career was or how you saw the career of playing professional football?
Well, when the kids were born, it was a big change. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, my mother-in-law moved in with us for the first 3 or 4 years when we played in the city. That's different, instead of just me and my wife and hanging out, going to movies on Friday night or before a game or those kind of things. But, honestly, like just I'd come home after practice every day. I'm tired, but then I'm dad. At that point, I remember picking up the kids and then throwing up all over me and then changing diapers and then picking them up. My arms are tired from holding them all night and then not getting to sleep. And then, they've got a temperature of 102 and then you got to take them into the doctor. I mean, like you're a parent, I mean, it's real, and then, they're little kids. They don't know who you are. But just I think I made it a point every day to hug my kids, to tell them I love them. We would read books to them at night, just whatever the books were. We'd pray with them at night before they went to bed, and we were with them constantly. And that was the one thing. And was I tired as a quarterback? Yeah, I was. But you got it, But then also there were times too where my wife was great. Said, "Listen, if I told her I was tired, then she knew that was what was paying the bills, so she would, they would take extra time to take the kids and let me have my sleep or whatever it was at those times too. But I was a dad. I loved it, and I wanted to be with my kids at all times when it was available. And then the off season, that daddy and me, I had to make up for some lost time during the season for sure.
That's pretty funny. How was going from Minnesota to Tampa? Was that a bit of a culture shock there? A little bit.
Yeah.
I guess you were in Florida State though, so.
Sure.
Yeah. I went 7 years in 9 years actually in Minnesota, 2 years in Washington.
That's right.
And then 4 years in Tampa, and then 2 years in Dallas was my career. But it's kind of crazy when we were in Tampa. That's when they were born, And so we decided they turned like 3 and 4 years old, kind of about that time, and then 4 and 5 maybe. And so we decided like our kids had never seen snow before, so we went up to Asheville, North Carolina, and took them to like a ski slope, and then let them go down inner tubes, and then next thing I know, 6 months later, we moved to Minnesota where it's 10 degrees.
All the
those
snow you
kind
can
of things.
handle there.
They got to see snow for sure. Yeah. So those are kind of funny things, but we had great memories at all those places. I kind of think it was just great for them to kind of grow up in different, even though they were young, just to be in part of different schools or different things that they're involved in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is
Which weather did you like?
Go,
sorry,
go for
ahead,
it, Justin.
Andrew.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say, which weather did you prefer playing in the elements or down in Florida?
Well, I love playing in Minnesota because it's a dome.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah, you had
you weren't worried about the weather. I wasn't checking the weather
Lucky.
report. Wasn't worried about the heat in Tampa. You're cramping
That's
up.
right. Yeah.
Playing in Chicago, it's freezing cold. So, but I love playing the dome because I knew it was going to be 72 degrees.
Perfect every time.
Didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. So you mentioned making memories with the kids, going to ski slopes and things like that. I was curious, is there a memory or a couple of memories that really stick out to you from your NFL career? Is like, what was the most memorable thing that sticks out to you from your entire career?
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 moments I had. Okay, so I think actually the very first touchdown pass I threw as an NFL player, and after the game we come from behind win, and then I got the game-winning ball, and then I was running off the field, and I actually threw the ball up to my dad.
Oh, wow.
Gave him my first touchdown pass. And then a cool play that I was a part of was when I threw a touchdown pass to myself in Minnesota. We're on the 3-yard line. I dropped back. I threw it, and the ball got batted back to me, then scrambled and dove in the end zone. We didn't know what it was, a touchdown pass or touchdown catch. And
It's a touchdown, right? That's all that matters.
Well, yeah.
3-yard touchdown.
3-yard reception.
It was a fantasy owner's
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah, it was 12 points in fantasy football and one ESPY, and if we'd been on the 4-yard line, I might have been a yard short. So, but that was a cool moment. But I think obviously when a Super Bowl, that's a dream come true.
Yep.
That's what you play for, and as a kid, that's what it's what you want to do. And so then after the game was over, it's really pretty cool. It was confetti was falling on our face, and I did a Disney commercial with John Group, my wife. I was holding Max, who was 2 years old, and Nikki, my wife, she was 7 months pregnant with our other son Jake, and we're saying we're going to Disney World. And at the time, it was really pretty cool because I was holding my son Max, and he was tired from the day and all that kind of thing. And I took my hat and I actually put the hat on him like this, and I said, "Who loves you, son?" And then he looked at me. He's a little kid, but he takes the hat off of himself. He puts it back on me, and he says, "You do." And so it was really just a cool moment
That's awesome.
that we had together as a little kid.
That's pretty cool. Wow. That's about as good as it gets right there. Mm-hmm. That's peak professionally and as a father. That's pretty good right there. Man, I remember, it's funny, that Super Bowl was one of the first Super Bowls I remember watching vividly because my best friend growing up was a Raiders fan. So we watched all the Raiders games. And I remember watching, Richie Gannon throwing it for all those yards, and I remember thinking, "Oh man, I'm rooting for Tampa Bay just because I want to just go against my friend."
Go against your friend.
And I remember watching that game. He's losing his mind, and I'm just laughing, and I'm becoming a Bucs fan. I'm like, "All right, this is great." Yeah, I didn't know who anybody was at the time, but it's funny. Your Super Bowl is the first one that I can really vividly remember enjoying for sure. That was a fun one. Well, let's get into the fun stuff here a little bit. You kind of already answered the memory questions here. Now, before we wrap up, first I want to do 2 things. I want tell us a little bit about Big Bad Brad and what you're doing on TikTok and Instagram now.
Yeah. I kind of
great.
Yeah, it's silly stuff, but basically, I never had social media. I mean, when I played, we didn't have phones and we didn't have social media. You know what I mean? And I finally just got on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And then on TikTok, basically, I've started making a lot of trick shots and those kind of things. A sequence of 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in a row, and then just had fun doing it. And so I post all that thing, all this stuff, and just kind of had fun doing it. And it's actually just to see if I can actually make these shots. It kind of becomes like sometimes I tell them it's first time, first take. Sometimes I'm telling them it takes what it takes, and then it's a lifetime of practice to do it. So, but I've had fun doing it. And share it in all media platforms, and just kind of do it for fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. And where's your Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter is Brad_Johnson_14, and TikTok it's Big Bad Brad 14. And so basically,
Okay.
what we've done with the Big Bad Brad thing, honestly, so if you go under cafepress.com/Big Bad Brad 14, we got hats and T-shirts and all kinds of accessories on there, and then all that money that we sell from that, it goes to a charity called Beyond All Borders up in Asheville, North Carolina. So that's where all that stuff goes.
Oh, that's
Just had a lot of
awesome.
fun
That's really
doing
cool.
That's what does that charity do? What's
that. It
that
just
charity
helps
for, Brad?
people. It's in Asheville, Western North Carolina. So from A to Z, from medical bills to heating bills to you name it, it's involved. So it just helps
awesome.
people. There's fundraisers, there's food that tackle hunger, all those kind of things. It's goes to schools where kids don't have money to pay for their food. It goes to all kinds of things like that.
That's awesome. That's really good. Well, if you're listening, if you're not already following it, definitely go give it a follow. It's pure joy to watch for sure. And you hit the first shot every time. I'm sure. It's a one take. It's a one take. And
I have a question though. Do you think this is coming a little bit from so many of the creation of games? Like I had read that walking home from the bus stop, you and your mom would toss rocks at mailboxes or something just to make up a game. And you described the games that you would make up with your dad.
Yeah.
Is this kind of like your way of competing against
It is.
yourself?
Well, I'll be honest with you. As far as trick shots, when I was a kid or playing through high school and college or pros, I never did trick shots. Okay, I was all about the skills, the drills, and for the kill. Like it was just because I always had the theory of practice what happens in games. So you're not going to see me do a hook shot from half court or throw one over the backboard or hitting doinks from the corner pocket, second pole. Like that doesn't happen. I wasn't wasting my time doing it. And now I'm getting ready to turn 54. I can do whatever I want to do.
that's right.
but it is the one thing that I find interesting. Okay, so like I would, as a kid playing baseball, like I'd pitch a 9-inning game, and there'd be a rock, and I'd walk off the distance, and was it a strike or not? All right, it's 0-1 count. It's one. I mean, I'm throwing 100 balls out there by myself. I get to a plate that no one's there. Like it became a vision. Oh, man's on first. All right, here we go. Like just pitching these pitches, and same way with basketball. I used to practice the jump ball. Like who practices jump ball? Like what kind of plays can I do off of that? Or, I think just having the imagination. That's what I'd love to see kids go play shirts and skins on some park and play and pick teams and just play instead of having a guru trainer or those kind of things. Just go play and be great with your imagination. So now I've kind of carried that over with the trick shots. But as a player, I never did trick shots. Now I'm a goofball out there having fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. That's
Very
good.
good.
So we've got now you've already answered some of them. We've got 5 rapid fire trivia questions for you here. Now, you'll be familiar with the topic because they're all about you. All right.
All right.
Now, so they're gonna start easy and they're gonna get a little more difficult. Now, one you already answered, so you already know it. Who was your first touchdown pass to?
Chris Carter. The play was called change right, base right, 086 F flat, hit him on a post.
There it is.
Wow.
Jeez, nailed it. That's awesome.
There you go.
It's 30 yards? Is that what it was?
I'm not sure exactly the distance.
Okay,
It was about that, though.
Yeah. Now, so you had Chris Carter there. Was Randy Moss there too?
Randy came later.
Okay.
Randy came, he was at the end of my
Second
first tenure there. I'd been there 6 years before he came.
Okay. Now, quick question before I get to the second one. Who told you they were open more, Chris Carter or Randy Moss? Because they were both probably right. They were both probably right.
They all thought they were open.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, just throw it close and you had a chance. But they always,
Yeah.
great players
Those
want
are
the ball.
Those are two dudes that you probably going, yeah, you probably were.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to really
gotta
learn.
count
I
on
mean,
them.
honestly, as a quarterback, like I tell people, like coverage dictates where the ball goes, but you got to find a way to. I mean, you kind of become a diva as a receiver, like you do. Like you do have to. the quarterback, it's not just about throwing spirals. Like it's managing your team, and hopefully
Yeah.
you can get the balls to everybody. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you gotta win, but you definitely want
Right.
to keep those guys happy.
Yeah, keeping them happy helps you win. There you go. All right, second question. Now we already talked a little bit about your quarterback or your touchdown pass to yourself. You were the first one to ever do it. Who was the second quarterback to do it?
That'd be Marcus Mariota.
There
He's
you
playing
go.
Tennessee Titans against the Chiefs in the I think in the playoffs.
I think it was. I remember watching that one live. Now, quick follow up to that one. Who was your intended receiver?
My intended receiver was Andrew. He was the tight end for us. Andrew. God, what's his
You almost got it. You almost got
Andrew,
it.
not Luck. Andrew. What was his name?
No, I don't think it was.
Andrew. God, what was,
Put it on your
what was his
hand.
last name?
Put it on your hand.
Glove. Andrew, yeah, Andrew
Hey,
Glover.
hey,
Andrew Glover.
there you go.
Yeah, Andrew Glover.
Yep.
Yep.
I watched that play today, and I had to watch it about 5 times because we didn't have HD TV, and I'm going, whose number is that? I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
I
Andrew Glover.
could hardly
That's
make
right.
it out. Yep. The announcers finally said
Yep.
it, but it's funny because you mentioned they didn't know what it was either. They is it a touchdown? They didn't? Nobody knew what to do. The ref just kind of
Yeah, I didn't know
guess
until
it's
after the game.
touchdown.
I was actually eating with my family,
Yeah.
and then somebody called me and
Yeah.
told me it was both. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, man. All right, you're nailing these so far. Let's see if we can turn these up a little bit. All right, who was your leading receiver in the Super Bowl, and how many yards did he have?
I think Keyshawn Johnson had the most catches, and I
Yes,
think he had
correct.
6. I think he had 6 catches. I think, and I don't know how many yards he had though. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say he had 75 yards.
Man, you were off by 6 yards. Keyshawn had 69.
69.
Joe Juravicious had 78.
Aha. Okay.
But yeah, you're right.
good.
But Keyshawn had the touchdowns. Man,
Keenan McCardell.
You-
Keenan McCardell had 2
there
touchdowns.
you go. Yeah, McCardell. Yeah, there you
McCardell
go.
had 2 touchdowns. Yep.
Man, you're on it. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, now you just posted it on your Instagram a little while ago. Which Super Bowl or not Super Bowl All-Star Challenge was it? What year was that? Where you beat
2003.
Tom Brady?
Yep. 2003.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, this
2003
is a tough one here.
QB challenge.
Can you name the other quarterbacks that were there and that you beat?
Yeah, it was. I'll try my best. It was Mark Brunell and
Yep.
Matt Hasselback,
7
Yep.
of them.
Jeff Garcia.
Yep.
Maybe it was Byron Leftwich there.
Yep, he was there.
A St. Louis guy, Mark Bolger.
Yep.
How many I got left? Jeff Blake.
I don't think he was there. At least he wasn't on the list. I didn't see him.
What teams?
They were so your St. Louis guy is
Mark Bolger.
oh gosh, help me out. Mark Bolger, there you
Yeah,
go.
Mark Bolger.
And then you've got another Mark.
Bolger.
Mark Brunell.
Or yeah, you said Brunell. Oh, and then
He said
all right, think
Brunell,
Detroit
yeah.
Lions.
Um,
Oregon Duck.
Joey Harrington.
There you
How
go.
about that? That's
You
good.
got them all.
That's good.
You got them all.
There you go.
Well, you did great on that,
All
man.
right, it's
You
been a while.
Right, no, you had the yardage down and everything, man. That was awesome. Well, yeah, absolutely. That is you had
That's
the
a
play down
memory.
and everything. That was pretty awesome. Well, Brad, thank you 1,000 times over, man. This has been awesome. I learned a lot. I'm sure the guys did too. This was a whole lot of fun, and maybe next time I'm in Athens, I'll stop by and
All right.
we'll do a couple trick
All
shots.
right, come
there.
on. We're ready for you.
All right, all right, man.
great,
Well,
Now.
thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go follow Brad on Instagram, TikTok. You're on Twitter too, right?
Yep, sure thing.
All right, go find them all. Follow. It is absolutely pure joy. Watch all these trick shots. They are awesome. And of course, don't forget to go follow us on YouTube and Instagram and on Facebook as well. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of the Common Dad Podcast. Let us know if you liked the video by giving us a thumbs up. Even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up anyway. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video. Also, do not forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_common_dad and on Facebook at The Common Dad so you can let us know your thoughts on today's episode.